Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to start a new series of my lectures on analysis and design of reinforced cement concrete, RCC. So before I actually start the analysis and design part, I would like to give some introduction about the materials used in the RCC constructions, also about the methodologies we employ, all the codes related to its usage. All this I'll discuss before actually starting the problems. Okay, so what is reinforced concrete? Reinforced concrete. Reinforced concrete as a composite material has occupied a special place in the modern construction of different types of structures due to its several advantages. Due to its flexibility in the form of superiority in performance, it has replaced to a large extent the earlier materials like stone and timber and steel. Earlier, people used to make their houses with timber and also with steel. Before that, still more in the previous era, it was stone houses. You might have seen it. In the history, you might have learned about this. So, reinforced concrete has replaced, reinforced RCC material has replaced those sort of construction because of its flexibility, form and superiority in the performance. Okay. Further, architect's scope and imaginations have widened to a great extent due to the moldability and monolithicity of the RCC material. So let me explain what this means. Architect's scopes and imagination has widened. You must have come across so many modern constructions having different shapes. The best example I can give is Lotus Temple in Delhi. Way back it has been constructed around two decades back, but still you can see the structure, how it is molded like a lotus. How is this possible? This is possible only because of the flexibility and moldability of the RCC. Same, because of RCC only we are able to construct structures like Burj Khalifa. Fine. So besides Burj Khalifa, I like to take one more structure as an example which is being under construction in Dubai, where a structure maybe of 180 or 200 floors, I am not exactly remember the number. So in one direction it is starting. Suppose it's facing is in the east direction. Okay. So every floor 1 degree twist is taking place. Okay, the building which was facing, whose face was east in the ground floor will become north facing on the 90th floor. 1 degree it has been displaced. So how is this possible? This is possible because of the flexibility of the RCC construction material. Fine. So it has helped the architects and engineers to build several attractive shell forms and other curved structures. Shell forms and curved structures. Shells means big halls, big mosque. They are dome structures. They have big hall, it will have a dome structure. So those structures are called as shell structures. That is also in RCC constructions. Okay. Next. The design of these modern reinforced concrete structure may appear to be highly complex, right? When you see this structure, you may be feeling how the engineer has constructed this, right? It is so highly complex. How was it possible? Maybe he is a very expert engineer. Of course, he will be an expert structural engineer. But however, most of these structures are an assembly of several basic structural elements, okay? Like it is a teamwork, right? Of course, the one who design it will be a subject expert, but as a whole, the structure will be composed of many basic structural elements such as beams, slabs, columns, foundations. So this all together forms that complex structure. Structure is complex in the look. Structure is complex, but as when you disintegrate it, it becomes simple structural elements like beams, slabs, columns, footings, walls, staircases, whatever it is. They are the simple structural components which we will be learning in this subject. reinforced cement concrete. Of course, it is a complicated structure, but it is composed of basic structural elements. Okay, so accordingly, the designer has to learn, like you will be the designer once you finish the course. So as a designer, you have to learn the design of these basic reinforced concrete elements. So once you design these concrete elements, the joints and connections are then carefully developed, right? So every structure, right? So every structure has got its form, function and aesthetics, right? It has got its form, shape, 2-storied building, 4-storied building or 90-storied building. It has got its form and function. Function, it can be a hospital building, it can be a college building, right? So it has got its function and aesthetic, that is architectural appearance. Everybody will not go for a simple. Those who have money, they'll go for good architectural view also, right? So every structure has got its own form, function and aesthetics. So normally what we consider that the architects will take care of them, its form, its function and its aesthetics, its appearance will be taken care by the architects. They are, and structural engineer will be solely responsible for the strength and safety of the structure. This is a feeling. This is a feeling from a layman who thinks the entire structure, its forms, its function, its aesthetic will be taken care by the architect. So as a structural engineer, I will be responsible only for its strength and safety, right? So you will be thinking like that, but no. The role of architect and structural engineer are very much interactive, and a unified approach of both will result in an integrated structure. So when they both interact each other, because what an architect will do is he just gets simple, very big, like one column this and 30 meters span, another column he will place, because he will concentrate only on the looks. He wanted a big hall for conferences, for prayers, but he doesn't know the stability things. So what he will do is just get his requirements and he'll show it to the structural engineer. So structural engineer will see its safety and strength and possibility. Then both will interact. Then only we get an integrated structures. So right. So once an integrated structure is developed, every material of the total structure takes parts effectively in form, function, aesthetic, strength, as well as safety and durability. So this is how any high-rise structure or any important structure will involve the contribution of both architect and structural engineer. Okay, so both the engineer and the architect should realize, both should realize, you should not fight for its like I have done. Both the engineer and architect should realize that the skeletal structure without architecture, okay, a skeletal structure means only for what you call frame, because this is done by structural engineer, right? So both the engineers and the architects should realize that the skeletal structure without architecture is barren. Can you live in a barren structure without walls, without slabs, right? So this is a barren structure, and mere architecture without structural strength and safety is a disaster, right? So both interaction is very much required. Some basic knowledge of architecture and structural requirements would facilitate to appreciate the possibilities and limitations of exploiting the reinforced concrete material. Little knowledge of architectural as well as structural requirement. It will help us to exploit the reinforced concrete materials for the design of innovative structures. So both the knowledge is required. Fine. As an architect, he should have some basic knowledge of analysis and design also, that is structural knowledge. As an engineer, as a structural engineer, one should have some minimum knowledge of architecture. So without architecture, the structure is a barren. Without structural safety and strength, the structure will be a disastrous. Objectives of the design of reinforced concrete structures. Objectives, any work if you do, it should have some objective. So when you design an RCC structure, what should be your objectives? Okay, objectives of design of RCC structures. Okay, the first and the foremost objective should be the structure should perform satisfactorily in its intended life. The structure so designed should have an acceptable probability of performing satisfactorily in its intended life. If you have constructed a building, okay, if within 1 year it will start deteriorating, then that's a failed in objective. When you can, because once in a lifetime people will go for construction. So its intended life will be 70 to 80, 90 years, sometimes 100 years also. So whatever life you have intended, in that intended life, it should perform satisfactorily. Perform satisfactorily, it should not deform, leakage should not be there, peel off should not be there, unnecessary cracks should not develop. All this comes under performance. So there should be some acceptable probability. Okay, some 5%, 10%, some probability. So the structure so designed should have an acceptable probability, should have, the structure you have designed should have acceptable probability. Acceptable probability of performing satisfactorily in its intended life. Okay. Second, the design structure should carry all the loads. It should sustain all the loads. Whatever loads are coming, whatever loads you have taken, when you design that particular member, it should sustain all the loads and it should deform within the limits. That is, the deformations should be within the limits. So no excessive deformation is permissible. So this should be your second objective when you design an RCC structure. Okay. Then third will be the design structure should be durable. Durability is a long-term definition. Okay. Like as I said you, buildings or houses are generally constructed once in a lifetime. Right. So when you construct it, it should be durable enough. It should not deteriorate within a short span. So the structure, the objective of the design should be that the structure is durable. Okay. And the fourth objective, the design structures should adequately resist the effects of use and fire, misuse and fire. Okay. So if fires are happening or if floods are coming, your structure should resist. So this is the last objective you can say. The design structure should adequately resist the effects of misuse. Resist the effects of misuse and fire. Misuse in the sense, if a structure is constructed for one purpose but it is being used for some other purpose, so then also it should be able to resist that. And also if some accidents, fire accidents are there, it should resist. So these 4 points or the 4 objectives should be there in an engineer, structural engineer mind when you start designing a structural member. Okay. So next, how are we going to achieve these objectives? Okay. How to fulfill these objectives? All the above objectives, these objectives can be fulfilled by understanding the strength and deformation characteristics of the materials used in the construction as well as the deteriorations under hostile exposures. Right. So these can be fulfilled. These can be fulfilled by understanding the behavior properties, the behavior or the behavior, or you can say the characteristics of the materials which we use in the construction, that is RCC. Right. So by understanding those properties, we can achieve this. This is first achievement. This is how, this is objectives and these are how to achieve. So first you have to understand very well the material properties, their characteristics, their behavior under hostile conditions, under severe conditions, how they will behave. All this must be studied thoroughly. Right? So whether this material is suitable or not, all the properties you are supposed to study. Right? So in RCC, all the material characteristics you have to study, their strength, deformations, deformation characteristics of the material used in the design, and also the deterioration, how they are going to deteriorate. All this must be very well understood by the engineer. Right? So now coming to this, we are talking about the reinforced cement concrete. So reinforced cement concrete, the basic materials are, one is concrete. Okay, of course concrete is made up of other materials. The other is steel. Okay, we will learn in detail about this also. But out of these two materials, because I want to tell you how we can achieve the objectives of the RCC structures. So first we have to understand the material characteristics under hostile exposure, I have said. So what are those materials? So basically if I divide it into concrete and steel, okay, steel is out of these two construction material of RCC. Steel, it is manufactured in the industries. It is manufactured in the industries in the form of bars or rods of specific diameters. So it is not in our hand, right? It is being manufactured in the industries. Okay, it is available in a specific diameter and in a specific strength. However, when we receive the steel, we have to do sample testing of these bars. Sample testing, and also we have to check the checks are very important to ensure the quality of these steel bars or rods. So its manufacturing is not in our hand. But once we receive these bars at our side, we should go for a check. We should see that they are good they are corroded, or their diameters are good or not, the yield strength is good or not. Some sample testing must be done on the steel. Okay. So now coming to the concrete, right? This is the most important material for civil engineer. Concrete, right? It is prepared from several materials, right? As I said you, again this is prepared from the several materials. So to name, I'll say cement, sand, okay, coarse aggregate, that is gravel, okay, then any admixtures if required, okay, admixtures and water. So concrete is made up of so many materials. Therefore, it is important to know the characteristic properties of each of these materials, right? Each of the materials. These materials and the concrete after its preparation must be checked, must be tested. Materials as well as the concrete, after making the concrete, it must be tested to ensure the quality. Okay, the necessary information regarding the properties and characteristic strength of these materials are available in the various codes of different countries. Materials will purchase cement, sand, coarse aggregate, we mix it, we form a concrete. So after the concrete is formed, it should be tested. Materials as well as the concrete after its preparation must be tested. So the various specifications are given in the standards are given in the various codes of different countries. So we must see whether the concrete and the material are within the specification of those codes or not. So for RCC, we have a code by Indian Standard of Bureau IS 456-2000. So it has got all the specifications that must be satisfied to be used. What is the specification of cement, what is the specification of sand, coarse aggregate, all the specifications, standards required are given in the IS 456. So they must be done, they must be checked, right? So next is, so coming to the concrete, because concrete itself is a very big topic. You might have learned about the concrete in the materials also. So what is concrete? What is concrete? Every engineer should know the basic definition of concrete. So what is concrete? Concrete is a product obtained artificially by hardening the cement, okay, obtained artificially. It's not a natural material. So concrete is a product obtained artificially by hardening the ingredients cement, sand, gravel and water in a predetermined proportion. In a predetermined proportion. So this gives us the concrete. This is an artificial product obtained by hardening the ingredients cement, sand, gravel, water in a predetermined proportions. When these ingredients are added, they form into a plastic mass which sets on standing and turns into a solid hard mask. Hard solid mass. So when it stands for some time, it becomes a solid mass. This is the definition of concrete. Okay, so in this, sand is known as fine aggregate. Okay, the technical term for sand is fine aggregate. So these standards are also there, we have to follow. Then gravel is called as coarse aggregate. Coarse aggregate. Okay, now you might have seen how actually civil engineering is a live thing. While going, coming, you can see the constructions going on the roads. Okay, you might have seen how the gravels look, how the coarse aggregate looks, how sand looks. You all have an idea. So in a concrete mix, if I take this mold, okay, so you'll have coarse aggregate. Coarse aggregate's size will be more than 4.75 mm. Mostly it will be in 10 mm, 12 mm. We'll learn it in detail again when I go to the material descriptions. Okay, so coarse aggregate. So however you add coarse aggregate, there will be some gap between the coarse aggregate, right? So those gaps will be filled by the sand. The voids between the coarse aggregate will be filled by the sand, fine aggregate. Okay, again between the fine aggregate there will be some, because sand is spherical, okay, some gap will be there. That gap will be filled by the sand. So the voids between the coarse aggregate will be filled by the fine aggregate. The voids between the fine aggregate will be filled by the sand. The voids between the fine aggregate will be filled by the cement. So cement is going to act as a binder. So cement is a binder in the hardened concrete. It's a binder. It is going to bind the coarse aggregate and fine aggregates. So it is referred as binder. Cement is going to act as a binder on hardening. Fine. Then depending on the quality and the proportion of the material used in the concrete, right? Quality and proportion. We cannot just dump whatever amount of cement we want, whatever amount of sand we want. We have to do the mixed design, right? Mixed design. That is, designing how means, what you mean is how much sand, how much coarse aggregate, how much fine aggregate. That is called as mixed design. Okay. So depending upon the quality and proportion of the material used in the mix, the property of concrete vary. Okay. Concrete property varies depending, because your concrete can be of 1:2:4, it can be 1:1:3, like this. Means 1 cement, 2 parts sand, 4 parts coarse aggregate, 1 part cement, 1 part fine. So how it depends upon the proportions and as well as quality, what quality you are using the material. The strength also vary. Not all concrete will have same standard strength. So this is how the property of concrete varies. Not property, every concrete will be same. Depending upon the usage of the structure also, the concrete will be vary. Like if it's an important structure, for slab you can have richer concrete. For beams, for structural elements you can have richer concretes, right? So similarly, if it's a footing, you can go for a weaker concrete. Like it depends upon the concrete property varies, depends upon the proportion and the quality of the material you are using. If you are using a good quality cement, high branded cement, then you get a good strength. So we cannot just determine exactly, we cannot have the same properties in all the concrete mixtures. It varies, first thing. Okay, now concrete is very good in compression. Concrete is very good in compression. Plain cement concrete is good in compression. So its application is also will be only where the compressive forces and weights are important. Okay, that means requirement, not important, where compressive forces are the requirements, like columns, footings. Okay, so where compressive force is the requirement and where the structure's weight is important is the requirement, then we go for plain cement concrete. However, you cannot use the plain cement concrete for structural elements like beam, slab, columns. You cannot use plain cement concrete because these are the members which are flexural members. They are subjected to bending. So there we provide reinforcement. Okay, so in structural members like beams, slabs, columns, retaining members. So here we have to provide tensile forces also. So those tension can be obtained by introducing steel in the concrete, in the tension zone. So what is tension zone, what is compression zone, so all this we will be learning in the coming classes. So plain cement concrete is only, application is only where compression forces and weights are the requirements. So in members like this we cannot use PCC because plain cement concrete is very weak in tension and these members are flexural members. They are subjected to bending and tensile forces are introduced. So we provide reinforcement in tension zones. Okay. So such concrete is known as reinforced cement concrete. Otherwise it was plain cement concrete which we cannot use. So we have to introduce the steel or reinforcement in the tension zone. Okay, then that concrete is called as reinforced cement concrete.